Hello, hello. Hello, welcome to LiveQueenz. Welcome to LiveQueenz, everyone. Excited to have you here.
Hello.
Hello, Queen.
Hello, Queen. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Oh, I am so much better for seeing the animal print. You know how crazy I am about animal print. So you're looking lovely.
Thank you very much, Queen. Nothing says Africa than animal print.
Yes, indeed, indeed. You can never go wrong.
I am loving what you're donning, the green and the crown and oh, it's looking absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you. I do try sometimes.
Amazing as always. I think Queen
Thank you.
Ash is just on the audience now. Let me go fetch her and get her on while we wait for our guest of honor. Hello, Queen Ash.
Hello, hello.
Hello,
Oh my
hello.
How
God.
are you, Queen?
We're good. I'm good. I'm good. How have you ladies been?
Are we good?
Oh,
Can you see
doing
us
okay.
okay, Queen? You're looking quite close. Can you see us okay?
Yeah, for a moment I couldn't see. I was like, wait, what?
Awesome. Okay. Welcome everybody to LiveQueenz today, Wednesday, the 8th of May. I think our guest of honor is here. Of course, I'm joined as always by my co-host, Queen Khadija Shamte and Queen Eshingwara are here. I'm gonna go get our host, our guest for today so we can introduce ourselves while he's on because I don't think he's met us formally. In the meantime, Queen Khadija, do you want to see who's in the audience so we can welcome them and get this ball rolling?
Oh, okay. Do you need me to read the comments or do you need me to introduce myself?
Oh no, just the comments. Just I think we're gonna introduce ourselves when our guest is here.
Okay, let's see who is in the comment. While I was there, I did see Tigom. Thank you for joining the live. There's Fala Sina 88, and we've got CK Lina. Welcome, welcome. And of course, our guest of honor is here. We
Okay.
shall
Hello,
be
Mike.
waiting for
You've
you
got
to
your
come
camera the
in.
other
Hi,
way
hi,
around.
hi everyone. Yeah, it's give me a few minutes. Let me just get this right,
No problem
please.
at all. Queen Khadija, is there anybody? Oh, CK, oh, CK Lena
Mhm.
is like glamour
CK Lina
liner.
is in the house. Exchange time. Alfred World is here. Ticom is sending love hearts. You're sending love hearts
Thank
back.
you.
Sally G joined. Oh my God, today is a good day. Thank you so much, Sally, for joining. We've got Garama Garama, FC Code that's joined, Hijab KE. We've got Sixo 333. They've joined. Each and every person that's joined, thank you so much. CK Lina is saying glamour lineup. Oh, we do try, CK Lina.
Thank you so much, Queen Khadija, and welcome everybody to our LiveQueenz. Our guest of honor is here. He's a bespoke king who lives in the diaspora in the UK. Welcome to LiveQueenz Counselor Mike Kasibo.
Thank you. It's a great honor to be with you this evening.
Awesome. Before I give you
Okay.
a very extensive bio, I'm gonna allow my fellow co-hosts to introduce themselves because you may have just seen them on LiveQueenz. But let me start with Queen Ash. Queen Ash, you wanna introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Queen Khadija, and then I'll just briefly introduce myself, and we'll start talking to our guest of honor today.
Thank you so much, Queen D. My name is Ashley Chingwaro, and I'm the second Princess of Africa UK pageant and empowerment programs of 2023, and I'm also a live queen.
Awesome. Thanks,
Nice
Queen
to meet you.
Ash.
And for myself, I'm Khadija Shamte. I'm First Princess of Africa UK Pageant and Empowerment Programs and Miss Charity 2023. And proudly a life queen.
Awesome, Queen
Great
Khadija,
to
and
meet
of
you,
course,
Queen Khadija.
of course, I'm Danelle Mwilwa. I'm the founder of LiveQueenz. I am Mrs. Confidence at Mrs. Africa UK 2023, and I'm a life queen.
Great to be with you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay, before you even say anything about where you come from, what you're about, I'm going to read your extensive bio here. I couldn't get it all in my head, so I'm going to be reading it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. And we have, like I said, a bespoke gentleman here in the diaspora. His name is Councillor Mike Kasibo. He is a social worker by profession, holds an MA in social work. He's an ex-special police constable. He's a social justice activist, and he's a profound community leader. He is known as the CEO and founder of the African and Caribbean Arts and Heritage Union in Milton Keynes in the UK. And of course, the co-founder of the African Diaspora Festival in Milton Keynes, for those who like the arts and culture and the music. Among other things, he's very, very passionate about community building, about promoting African heritage, and he's got a lot to share here about how we can improve the life of our youth here, our children, and ourselves in the diaspora. Welcome again, Councillor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna just kick off by going to, I think, Queen Khadija. I think we're gonna kick off with your question tonight.
All right. Thank you, Quindineo. So, Councillor Mike Kasibo, my question is, tell us about yourself, childhood views on identity and heritage as an African.
Wow. That's a big question. You know, in the police, they say it's a wide question, but I'll try to narrow it down. So briefly about myself, as already introduced, Mike Kasibo, originally from Uganda. And so my childhood, I've always wanted to be that person that kind of fights for justice, and this for me it started at a very, very early age. In my primary, I was always a leader, and I always, wanted justice for everyone. I always wanted fairness, and so when I started my secondary, I had the opportunity working alongside my dad and the family, where we worked quite a lot in the community. My mother, who has always inspired me, because I lost my dad when I was young, and my mother still a community leader, supporting women and leadership in the church, and that has always inspired me so much in everything that I do. And so when I left Uganda, coming to the UK at a very early age, I'd come here to do my chartered accountancy after doing my business communication in Uganda. But then when I got here, before, when I was leaving, my mother told me, which was kind of a remote control kind of conversation that we had, and she said, look, you're going there, you've got no relative, nobody, but actually we're going to be praying for you. And my mother, promised, I'm going to be praying for you. And she said, you have to remember that everything that you do, you face the consequences. There are consequences to everything that you do in your life, and so it's entirely up to you. You're free to do whatever you want to do, but just remember that you have to face the consequences yourself. And that, to me, that was a kind of a remote control for me, that when I came here, there's so much that you can get into, and good and bad things. But actually, when I got here to the UK, I straight away started volunteering with one of the local authorities in London, working with supporting young asylum seekers. And after 2 years, I was actually kind of, I wanted a change. I was from, in Africa, what you can say, middle class Christian family. And I always wanted that quietness, and I couldn't cope with London, you all the time, so I decided to move away from London to Milton Keynes. And when I came here, it was that conversation that I had with Milton Keynes local authority. I'd already been volunteering in London, and so it was easy for me to get into Milton Keynes local authority, and from there joined the police, and from there I started working in the community. I was very touched that when I came to Milton Keynes, having already volunteered in back home with my parents, I couldn't see black people. And so that, for me, that touched me so much. And I went to Milton Keynes Council and I said, where are the black people in this community? And this was after my research, finding out that actually there was about 34% of black communities in Milton Keynes, but visibly there was no platform for them. And my first challenge was to start with Breakfast Club here. Breakfast Club for me was about, people coming in, finding a platform to share the challenges that they go through. And this was a great, it was a success for me because so many people, especially black people, I call black people my people. I don't care where people are from. But when I see a black person, I feel, that connection, the warmth. Even just passing by, you see a black person, I connect. And that not to say that, I'm a racist or I don't see other people. But, it's fair to say when I see a black person, because as a black person and after my exposure, I know what black people go through, and I've always wanted to connect with black people. So from Breakfast Club to different engagement, I've worked in communities as a community organizer in the Midlands, in Eastern and Central Europe, Slovakia, Bulgaria, and this is the time of the increase in refugee crisis in Cllr. I've volunteered, and one of the challenges which inspired me really to work hard in 2015 when I went to Cllr to support some of the young black people who were caught up in there, and they used to call it the jungle. When I met these young people, they said, oh, we didn't realize that actually even black people can help us. We thought the help can only come from white people. For me, that was a big challenge. In community organizing, we talk about anger, not the anger to fight physically, but the anger to take actions that can cause reactions, And so my action then was to start finding more and more of our black people and connecting with them, creating that platform for black people to come together and be able to show each other love. I've been to Liverpool International Slavery Museum, and when you get to Liverpool International Slavery Museum, you will see that that transatlantic slave trade, where black people were tied like materials to create space for on the ships. And you see the George Floyd about, Black Lives Matter. You actually connected that this did not start with George Floyd. It started a long time ago. And I know that most black people say, oh, we need to move on. But actually you find that for me, these are my lessons that I've learned as a black person. When I see our journey, when I see the struggles, when I see how vulnerable we are, it just, it's an inspiration for me to connect with more and more black people. And so that has been my journey from Uganda to here, sort of taken so long time, kind of giving that background. What inspires me, what motivates me? My parents inspired me to work in the community. My journey from Uganda to here and what I've seen in the police, how vulnerable when it comes to black young people, the challenges that they go through, when I see how black people in the community, the suffering and the challenges that they go through, inspires me to connect with more and more of black people.
Wow, thank you for that. You taken us on a roadmap that is very astounding, and I believe just sitting with you with a coffee, I think it will be a conversation that will take hours and hours and hours. Thank you for that answer. Yes, back to you, Tanel.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Counselor. Lots of important points. I'm going to move to the second princess of Miss Mrs. Africa UK 2023, Queen Ash, if she's got a burning question she wants to ask our counselor here tonight.
Thank you, Queen D. Unfortunately, I was going to ask what inspired you to start the platform, but obviously you've explained that it was your parent. So probably I will go on to maybe let's talk about Africa Day. Like, how do you celebrate it? Any suggestions for observing it in the diaspora?
So the African Day is actually a platform for Africans, and there I'm very careful I say Africans. The reason for that is that I'm not generalizing Black people, but I'm specifically bringing in Africans. It started with, recognizing the difference between Africans and the Caribbeans. You see, in these conversations, we are very honest. And you'll find that when you put an African on this side and a Caribbean on this side, you know, somebody will say, you as an African, you first move back, and the Caribbean will be straight away recognized. And the reason for that is, as an African, I've got an accent. As a Caribbean doesn't have an accent, and it's very easy to connect the Caribbean with other people, whereas with Africans, it's very distinctive that this is an African. And when you're talking, there is that kind of and I'm very careful here again. I don't want to create any division or anything, but it's important that we understand these things. And I know most of us do understand, but it's good to share in these conversations. And so for me, it was all about, first of all, recognizing an African. Recognizing the journey of an African, and recognizing an African that we do exist and we deserve that space as well. Because we see, when we look at our communities, we contribute the socio-economically and political aspect in our community. We contribute greatly. But actually, when it comes to inclusion, diversity, when it comes to acceptance of an African person, is a different story. And this is, we talk about racism. The racism that a Black person, an African person will face, you find that when you dig deep, is different from a Caribbean brother will face. And as I said, this can be as a result of the accent. It can be as a result of an African saying, no, I don't take that. A Caribbean brother is accepted so quickly because of the accent, because of, this is home, right? And so for me, the African Diaspora Day was about recognizing an African and creating that space. And so many people could come in and say, are we allowed? Are we acceptable? This could be people, non-Africans, different people. And we're saying, yes, this is about an African organizing and preparing this platform for you to come in as a guest. You come in and see Africa coming to life. So this is about Africa displaying their food, displaying their artifacts, displaying everything, but it's organized by an African. And so for me, my intention for that, I really wanted to see that as an African, this is supported by African Union. And my plan and everything, all the planning, organizing, was about connecting with African embassies, connecting with African unions, supporting, like as we can see the Indians, you find that the Indian embassies, the Indian communities are supported by the Indians. You will never find them looking for funding to run their events, but they're actually supported by, we've got so many Indians in high places. They support each other. And for me, the African Diaspora Day, that was the intention, to see that it's an African day. An African, a child comes in, an African child, and a young person of African heritage come in and feel the pride that this is home. But, when you look at from the organizing, we talk about designing, a development and delivery, those three stages. In the designing stage, this is designed by an African. It's developed by an African and it's delivered by an African. In most cases, we don't tend to take that ownership, and that's really key, because it's through that we're able to inspire other young people to do that. So, in a nutshell, again, I go so deep into the things, but the event that is aimed at displaying and recognizing and appreciating Africans in the diaspora.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you, Queen D.
Thanks, Ash. Councillor Mike, I suppose while we're talking about African Day, could you let us a little bit into the community that you founded, that you're the CEO of, the African and Caribbean Arts and Heritage Union in Milton Keynes. How did that come about? What does the community do, and how can people join? If somebody's in Milton Keynes, how can they find you?
So the after working with Africans, I realized that actually I'm very passionate about the young people, and I realized that the challenges that young people of African heritage and young people of Caribbean heritage face the same. And so I wanted to see that we're able to work together. I believe that we're stronger together. So coming together as Africans and the Caribbeans, coming together and being able to support these young people who are running every day on the street with knives and wanting to stab each other. And, you know, finding that actually some of the challenges that they face and the causes of this, you know, that lack of identity. You know, we believe that just like trees, we all need our roots to grow. You know, when you know who you are, you'll not get a knife to gun, want to stab another child, because how would your parents, how would your friends, family friends, and hear that, you know, so and so young person X has stabbed another young person. But because there's no that kind of, you know, a sense of belonging, because there's no, you know, when you talk about morals and values, these kids don't care. And when somebody has got nothing to lose, that's a dangerous person. And so the aim of the African and Caribbean heritage is actually aimed at bringing these two kind of separated brothers and sisters together and be an example to these young people. So we're based here in Milton Keynes, and we run different activities. And as I said, one of them, which we're running this year, is we're going to Liverpool International Civil Museum, taking young people to that heritage, taking back for them to understand and appreciate the struggles of Black people. Because you see, when young people, Black young people, face racism in this country, they struggle a lot. There's a book called Sitting on the Uncomfortable Edge, and it tells you that actually these kids, when they face these challenges, it's a surprise to them, because they feel they're part of this community, they're born here, they're integrated. But then when they start going into schools and jobs, that's when they start realizing the truth, that actually they're not the same. And so when you take them back to their roots, they'll be able to connect. You know, these things will not come as a surprise to them. They will see them and they'll be aware of them. And so they'll be expectant. That's building resilience, you know, that emotional resilience for these kids. And reminding them that actually, although you play together, but there'll be time when you'll be sidelined, and you know, don't be surprised, because this is not new. You're not the first one. You know, and so it's really important to prepare these kids. And, you know, when it comes to that time, some face, some not. Some will say it and will just laugh and push it under the carpet, you know, ignore it, which is great. But some will face them, you know, these challenges face to face, and people going into depression, people leaving their jobs, you know, because they can't cope with it. So really, for us, it's all about preparing these kids and working together as Black people, to see that we're able to support the next generation, but also keeping our culture. You see, we have different cultures here. Milton Keynes is so diverse. We have, as I said, we have the Indians, the Asians. You know, you will never find an Asian child into criminal exploitation, you know, into knife and gun crime, into, you know, discount lines. You will never find them. You know, the reason for that is because they know who they are. These are kids who are growing up speaking their own language. These are kids who are growing up eating their own food. Us as Black people, one of the key downfall that we have is we're copycats. We want to copy everything. We want to copy from different people and forget our own. One friend tells me that when they're going to Africa, they have to carry food from here to go with it to Africa. The other tells me that he's worried that his children have got accent. And I'm like, that accent is your identity. But actually, they want to get rid of that accent. You know, and for me, it's sad to hear Black people talk like that. These conversations actually, you know, for me, are really good, because we need that platform where we can have some of these conversations and share with the wider Black community. But I'm so sorry because I'm passionate about some of these topics that you're asking me. I end up going so deep.
No, you don't need to apologize at all. That's a very, very loaded message there. And it strikes a raw nerve with me because I was at a meeting in my local community, and the Africans were speaking exactly what you're saying now. They met with the local councillors, and the feeling is their children are born here in Ireland. I mean, they speak the same language that the other Irish people speak, yet they can't get jobs. They can't even get jobs in the local hospitals. They can't get job in the call centers. And essentially what the complaint is, they actually bringing people from outside, from Asia, from all over the world, and they wouldn't even give an Irish-born child with an Irish passport a job if they are African or if they look of a certain color. So that's interesting that you're facing the same problems in Milton Keynes. At this point, I'm gonna see.
And can I just add
Yeah.
there that what is sad is that we end up changing our own names, to fit in.
Yeah.
And that's really sad because you know that if you use your African name, you won't get a job. And so what we end up doing is to change to disown our African names, which is really sad for us.
That is very interesting because I come from South Africa, and the opposite happened after Nelson Mandela came out of prison. All of the people who were using their Christian names actually changed their Christian names to their African names. So the people who were known as gifts and donations and whatever, they all wanted the raw African names. So it's very disheartening that in the diaspora, where we're supposed to have a little bit more information, we're supposed to be a little bit more confident about ourselves, we are actually going the opposite way. But anyway, a topic we're not going to complete today. I'm going to see if Queen Khadija wants to carry on with the comments.
All right, let me just read some of the comments that have been written here. Everyone is very excited, Councillor Mike Kasibo. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. Okay, we've got Tabiso Jant G. It's beautiful that to hear that we as young people can still rely on role models like you. Amazing, amazing. Jerry Jash says powerful, and Tabiso continues to say it all starts with young people. After all, because we are the future generation that is supposed to be future leaders. There's a comment here for the crowns, looking beautiful queens, as always. Look so gorgeous. Beautiful crowns. We've got Queen Khadija. That's my nephew. He's being overzealous there. Tabiso Dance, thank you so much for joining and being proactive on the comments. And Cocoteen, thank you as well. We've got Boss Queen joined here as well. And Mitchell, thank you so much. Nice one. Happy to be here. Thank you. We do appreciate each and every person that comes on here just to give their 2 cents. All right, back to you, Queen Dineo.
Awesome. I think actually that's your turn, Queen Khadija. So Councillor Mike is very busy where he is in Milton Keynes. Besides the African and Caribbean Union, he does other work, philanthropic work as well. So go on and ask your question.
Okay, so rumor has it, yes, that there is this foundation called Roots Foundation. Can you walk us through this foundation and let us know why it touches on the youth and what you do per se in this foundation?
Yeah, so as I said, obviously with my profession as a social worker, I work quite a lot in child protection and safeguarding. So that's an area that is mainly with young people. And I engage quite a lot with the criminal exploitation section. And my background I've worked in the police for 5 years, and in the community for quite a while, over 7 years. And so this gives me really good understanding of some of the challenges that young people go through. And when you look at the kind of solution that we have for young people, or an address to the challenges that young people go through, it's no, you know, it doesn't give any. In other words, there's no solution. I'll give you an example of a young person, a 12-year-old, you know, is into care, is going into care, you know, forced care, and they will live there until they're 18, you know, until their 18th birthday. But actually, when you put this young person into care, first of all, it's, you know, it's very expensive. This young person, a young person can be cost up to 3,000 a week for a young person to be in care. And so many local authorities actually are going bankrupt as a result of this. But also when you look at the impact of the outcome, taking a young person into care, you know, they come out worse than they went in. On the other hand, we have Black, African, and Caribbean families. When a young person becomes more challenging for them, the only solution is to send them either to Africa or the Caribbean. And when they send them there, there's no plan for them. You know, most young people have come back saying we were carrying water on our heads for over, you know, 5 miles. You know, they share about, you know, their lived experience there of, you know, hardship. And so they will see that as, you know, a punishment. And so I came up with after, you know, really thinking hard and, you know, engaging with my like council leaders, and I made a proposal that, look, here is a proposal that if we, say for example, we're talking about the Rwanda project, sending refugees to Rwanda, but this is now sending young people outside, those who are originally from Africa, for example, or from the Caribbean, you send them back to where they're from. As we're saying, just like trees, we all need our roots to grow. Send them to where they're from. Let them go and connect with their communities. You know, let them learn about their values. You know, how do young people of African heritage, you know, back in the days, a young boy become a man? Did they start with putting on shorts and trousers straight, or they had to put on shorts and some had to kill a lion, or, you know, be able to change a bulb, or be able to, you know, to do something to prove their manhood, that actually this young person qualifies to be a man, is able to sit with us as elders, you know, and drink together, like as, you know, sit on the fire together, you know. So the taking young people back is actually, you know, after consultation with so many parents, many young people would rather go back, and, you know, in a structured way where we have options for them, like those who want to become, you know, into sports, they can take sports. Those who want to agriculture, those who want practical skills, those who want to learn different you know, skills, they're able, but from completely taking them out of this toxic environment. Because you can be in Milton Keynes and send a young person to Scotland, you know, that's where you found a care home for them. But actually, because of this, the guys who are using these kids, those exploiting them, they'll still connect them. They'll have another branch there and start again using them from that end. So what I'm looking at is disconnecting these kids completely to a different country in Africa, where they can disconnect and come back completely different people, and either they go to university straight mainstream or go back to colleges. But this is something that we work collaboratively with these institutions, and so a few local authorities have now started signing up for this. And soon we'll be seeing young people going back to Africa, connecting with where they come from, where they're able to build their resilience, build their morals, their values, their identity, their heritage, because we believe that once you have that, then sky, you know, may not even be the limit for you, because you know who you are. You know, once you know who you are, they can undress you, leave you in the street, you'll survive, you'll come up again, because you know who you are, you have your identity.
Wow.
Wow. You know, you have spoken a lot about the traditions that are ours by heritage. Yes, you did talk about being from a boy to being a man, and going through that rite of passage of as we're going to call it, circumcision, all the way to sitting around the fire and sitting with the elders to be considered amongst the people that have that intellect to actually talk amongst people that have the wisdom as well. Yes, and looking at that, I detect a Ugandan accent there, so I'm assuming you're from Uganda. If not, apologies. And I'm just wondering because, of course, for us as women, we also have joined together in charity as well, and the main focus is Africa. Yes. So we just want to know which other activities do you do that are for Africa, or is it a part of Africa that you do amazing work? So we can know about it, and you never know. We might come and join you, or you join us when we do the things that we do all around Africa.
So there are quite a lot of activities actually. We've got a project called The Untold Story of Africa. And The Untold Story of Africa is actually a project about, as you know, quite rightly, you've I think observed that I'm quite passionate about identity and heritage, and sharing our stories because that's really important. And these are some of where the gaps are, the things that we miss. And so, for me, this Untold Story is a project that is really helping communities, Africans, brothers, coming together and sharing their lived experiences. Sometimes you find that for a man it's difficult to open up and share the challenges and what's happening. Consequently, we're ending up in mental health all the time because we keep so much, at heart without finding that, I think somebody that you can trust and share with what you're going through, either at home, either at work, or they say big boys don't cry, and so we keep everything to ourselves. And so some of the projects that we do, we have Iron Sharpens Iron, and it's all about really men coming together. It's a very diverse project, and it brings in men from different cultural backgrounds coming together and being able to share, talk openly what's going on, before you start going crazy, man. What's happening? Just share, and people come out openly and share. But obviously we've got events that we run. As I said, we've got an event coming up in June where we're taking a journey to Liverpool, and that's going to be a 3-day. That's about talking about our history, but also we're looking at other projects like how do we grow economically, because I know we focus mainly on these things. It's because there are so many gaps. Before we move on to the economic aspects of it, we're looking at how do we first of all understand, realize who we are, and once we have that, it's more or less like we've built that a foundation. Then we can start moving to the economic aspect of it, because it means that when I run a business, a fellow black person is going to come and support me, because we've connected, we've built that foundation, that we know our challenges, that we know who we are. If we don't support ourselves, no one else is going to do that. So we've got quite a wide range of projects that we do run. And obviously for me, I believe in life is all about connecting. So connecting with your the Queens stuff that you're doing, really looking so great like that, and coming out and inspiring other young girls, I think it's such a beautiful would be a beautiful thing. So definitely I believe that we're not stopping here. We're going to continue connecting and working together and being able to support each other.
Amazing. We look forward to working with you and the community
Zen.
around you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Queen Khadija. Oh, such exciting conversations tonight. Before I go to the comments, I'm going to ask if Queen Ash has questions or comments about what the council has just said.
Not really, but I just got an interesting comment from Mr. Biso here, who's asking, I think she says, very beautiful initiative, but I wanted to ask, do these projects mainly focus on the young boys and men, or do they include young ladies and women too?
So those projects are very inclusive and diverse projects. They do include young men and women and everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. Thank you so much. There's a lot of comments there. Boss Queen, one of our fellow co-hosts, another live queen, she's just saying, oh, as a fellow social worker, I would have loved to have a conversation, preach Councillor Kasibo. So she's very excited about what has been said here today. And Jerry Njesh, who's also an alumni colleague and a friend from Mrs. Africa UK 2023. She's actually based here in Northern Ireland, and she runs with her fellow colleagues a Kenyan support community, which is very thriving, and they're doing very well. She says, I must say, you're all glowing this evening, Queens. Thank you. And she says, Councillor Kasibo, all you've said is absolutely true. Great conversations. As a community worker myself, I'm learning a lot from you. Be blessed. I'm definitely taking pearls as well, because you're saying a lot of the same problems that we're facing here. And I just said to Boss Queen, there's so much inspiration. She carries on to say, disconnecting makes it difficult when it's our own. Oh my God, Ash, you're gonna have to help me with that. This is the young people language. IYKYK. What does that mean? Oh, if you know, you know.
My soul is actually double the age of my body, so I do apologize on that one.
No, I think it stands for if you know, you know. I figured it out. She's basically saying it's difficult if you disconnect, because then there's no way of finding them, of funding them. Tabiso Janzi was just commenting about whether it's for men and women. I think that's already been answered. And we've been joined by a lot more people. Tadi N20, welcome. Hajingo is here, and Landini, of course, is here. Hey, Landini. And Johannes Rusenza, fellow supporter, thank you so much. And thank you, Tabiso. He says, if you know, you know. Now I've learned something today. Okay. At this point, I suppose I'm going to throw you off with this question, because I was doing a little bit of digging on you, Councillor. Amazing Grace, the song. How does that resonate with you, and what does it mean for you?
That is actually a challenging question for me. You know, I keep on talking about my first journey to Liverpool International Slavery Museum. That journey opened a lot of, kind of eyes really for me to understand who we are and how do people see me as a Black person. And, honestly speaking, I was humbled. I was, I looked at what our great, the fathers have gone through. And I, obviously this was followed up by this George Floyd, somebody putting your neck, their knees into your neck, and you're saying, I can't breathe, and somebody doesn't care. A human being is saying, I can't breathe, and somebody doesn't care about that. And then I'm comparing the two. In Milton Keynes, just a quick background, we have pillars here. And these pillars are to recognize, I'm sure you saw one me standing with, it's about Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
And so these pillars are to recognize people who've done great stuff, and other organizations and communities and all that stuff. And when it came to us deciding whether we're going to have the pillar of George Floyd or slavery, I personally stood and I think I was the only one who stood up and said, look, I would rather have a slave trade, a pillar that recognizes a slave trade. And I remember many of my fellow Black colleagues saying, we need to move on from slavery. We need to recognize George Floyd. And I felt sad, because when I look at the Jews, the Holocaust, they never forget that. And one of the things that have brought the Jews together is that knowing that, how much, how they died and the persecution and all that stuff brought them together. As we speak now, the Jews are some of the, strongest communities here in the UK, economically, socially, politically, very strong. But whereas when it comes to us as Black people, again, we forget so quickly, and we want to join the majority and say, yeah, let's move on. But actually, forgetting that we're throwing away our identity. And so for me, the Amazing Grace is about remembering the Black people that day when, how this guy was saved, John Newton. He was saved and then wrote this Amazing Grace. John Newton is a slave trader. And here he is writing this song, and is a song that will humble you. Amazing Grace is saying, the words in this song about really him coming before God and saying, give me another chance. But actually, it's been killing so many, persecuting these Black people and all the suffering, through the sea and everything, and many of them thrown into the sea. But then when you go deeper, you find that Amazing Grace was written, the melody was by a Black person. But that Black person, when you go into the history of it, when they say melody by, they said dash dash, there's no name because it's a Black person. The song written by John Newton, the melody is a slave trader who wrote it, and the name is not put there. And so when we were celebrating, I was invited by the church where that was started by John Newton. You can go there and find his tomb and everything where he was buried. And I was invited to as a representative, and when I was talking about it, sometimes it can be difficult for you to accept that this Amazing Grace is actually is somebody is genuinely saying is sorry about what happened. But again, who are you? We have to accept that it's a battle that we can't win. He genuinely came up and advocated for the abolition of slavery, of slave trade, and indeed it costed him, and so slave trade was stopped. But again, when you look at the benefit, I've written to one of the community group here who benefited from slavery, and people don't want to know anything. People don't want to know anything about slave trade. They'd rather go for George Floyd, but not to talk about slavery. And yet, our suffering, the mental, psychological torture that we've gone through as a result of that slave is still and will always, will ever exist. The way people see us as Black people, then there's no difference then and now. It's just that things are just embedded in, but the challenges and the way people treat us as Black people. So it's until actually for us as Black people recognize that and start, working together and being able to stand together against some of these injustices that we go through, that some of these, when what we see, the abolition of slavery and somebody saying, Amazing Grace, forgive me for all we did, but we've not challenged anything. We've not challenged that. So that is just left there. So I've not answered that question. It's not a straightforward question for me. But all in all, I believe in the Amazing Grace. It's a beautiful song.
Fantastic. I just happened to stumble upon I think there's a beautiful YouTube clip of just because I didn't know this. For me, Amazing Grace has just always been a gospel song and a Black song, it uplifts you. So it was very interesting to hear another point of view. I'm going to ask if any of my fellow queens and co-hosts have a question for Councillor Kasibo. I'm just looking at the time. Time flies when you're having fun.
All right. So it is the song Amazing Grace.
Yes, that's the song I'm talking about.
I like the beautiful song and the voice of the Queen.
See, I went to a Catholic school, so some of these things are stuck. But it's good to know what is behind the song, because sometimes when we are at our lowest, that is a song that is the go-to for most people. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now you will actually look at it much more deeper and actually share this with other people to bring inspiration. Thank you, Councillor Mike Kasibo. You've
No
been
problem.
more than informative, empowering, and I wonder, have we written a book, or are we going to write a book?
Yes, that's the next question.
It's a good question. I'm writing a book titled "And My Journey Begins," and so this is a book about my my journey from Uganda to here, and the things I've done, and my involvement here, and the things that really matter a lot to me, and especially to do with Black people. My experience in the police, you know, I used to have situations where you go out and you meet Black young people and social behaviors, and you see the different kind of approach. And when it comes to other, you know, like a white person, a white young person, you see a different approach, and you will see how vulnerable we are. That we don't seem to recognize that, you know, we don't seem to see ourselves. You know, it's all about as if everything is Christmas, but actually going so deep. And so for me, this book is all about my journey and the way I see things, which might be different from the way you see them.
Awesome. Okay. Queen Edge, have you got a burning question for Councillor Mike Kasibo?
Well, I hope so. So I would love to know, where do you see yourself within the next 5 years with the African Caribbean Arts and Heritage Union?
That's a very good question. I'm starting kind of to bend more on Africa, on the African side. I'm starting with Uganda, but I would like to start something that will move from Uganda to South Africa if it's evidence-based. You know, I can expect, for example, the project on roots, because much as I love my country where I am right now, where I've lived for, you know, many years, I know that there's a lot of need back home where we come from. And so for me, it's that journey that I'm starting to work on after my experience, my exposure, how can my people back home benefit from what I've gained, you know, and that's my constant challenge right now. And for me, it's all about connecting with, you know, great people like yourselves who are, you know, traveling to Africa and, you know, making difference in people's lives. That's what I'm really at the moment, how I'm seeing myself. I would like to connect with people like that.
Yeah.
Thank you so
It will
much.
be amazing to actually sit with you after this live and talk more about how we can reach out Africa. And as we always say, 54 countries is no joke, but one country at a time, one village at a time, one child at a time is you doing something. So looking forward to us working together and bringing Africa as one. Thank you so much,
And Queen,
Councillor.
can I just add on to that the people, and I always say that the people who are going to rebrand and change Africa, the people like the queens that we're seeing here, these are the leaders who are going to go back to Africa, get involved in the politics of Africa, because we can't influence things unless we're involved in the politics of Africa, and rebrand Africa. Give that value to Africa so that people can respect Africa. It's really important. It's our duty now, especially at this time when we have so many people, leaders in Africa, who are bringing that kind of a shame to us. You know, we are educated, we got the exposure, we got the experience. Those who are listening to us, let's work together. Let's go back to Africa and rebrand Africa, because we got everything that it takes, whatever it takes, to make that difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Amazing.
you.
Thank you so So much.
Thank you.
Beautiful comments here before we go to ask just about the class of 2024. Tabiso Yanchi, thank you so much for being here today. He says he's very excited about our social media pages. He's always excited to see what we post. Thank you so much, Tabiso. And of course, he's talking about our page at live_queens. LiveQueenz on Facebook, and of course you can join us on TikTok as well. And a lot of people are excited about this amazing, great story. Tabisa says, I'm today years old to actually know the significance of the song. Very informative. And Tigom says, such enlightening information. Never had an idea of the song's background. And Donda Makatini says, we learn every day. You know, kudos. Okay, awesome. Africans together in unity. That's what Tabiso said. And Jerry Jesh from the Kenyan community says, your journey needs to be documented. We await the great book so that it can be passed down generations. We all agree here.
Thank you.
Yes, 100%.
Councillor Mike Kasibo, thank you so much for coming to LiveQueenz. It's been such an enlightening experience. It's been so refreshing having a king on and speak so proudly and fondly of Africa and the work that they do. We are all very excited to connect with you in the future, not just on the social platform, but to really do actual groundwork in Africa. What an honor to have you here at LiveQueenz. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Live Queen, for having me. God bless.
Don't run away because we want you to share in our joy. We're very excited about something that's just happened at our alumni. I don't know if Queen Ash wants to speak about it.
The alumni or the class of the new class?
The class. The announcement, man, from yesterday.
So I just love, I think one thing that we've been, the three of us have been blessed with is being able to actually join Africa UK pageant, which is a platform that has allowed us to showcase, you know, our talents and just get our voices heard. It is such a great honor and privilege to actually being able to welcome the 18 ladies that made it to the class of 2024. I just want to say well done to them and
well done.
Welcome on board. I think I'd love to say to them that they should just enjoy the journey and obviously just embrace their uniqueness because we're all different.
Brilliant. Well done. Well done, Queens.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And of course, Councillor Mike Kasibo, I hope this is not the last time we see you here at LiveQueenz. When you've got time on Wednesdays, do join at LiveQueenz Insta Live. We usually have shows like this going on. And the next one is going to be next week, Wednesday, same time on the 15th of May. We're going to be introducing and interviewing two of our 2024 finalists, and we're very excited about that. We're super excited about this collaboration with Africa UK pageant. We're hoping to have the queens on to share their journey very early on, to come back and tell us how their journey is empowering them. So I invite everybody to check in here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. because you're going to hear a little bit more about the queens way before the crowning. So we're very excited to welcome next week Miss Pumla Brits, one of the finalists. And of course, we're also going to have Wendy Ntoyi. She's from Botswana. I'm hoping I'm saying it right. So Pumla Brits and Wendy Ntoyi are going to be here next week.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Okay. Queen Khadija, any last minute comments? We've got a minute to go.
No, I'm just in awe today. You know, when you have such brilliance and you've soaked in it, you just want to hear more. But unfortunately, we are always on the hour. And of course, also in the comments, people are very excited about all that they've heard today. There's lots of thank yous there for you, Councillor Kasibo. And of course, congratulations to the class of 2024. Boss Queen says here, thank you so much for the insightful session. Yes, we shall go and really ponder, or in my language, as we say in Swahili, tutakwenda kutafakari. Yeah. And Jerry as well says here, Diasporans can be change makers in Africa. We've just got to want to do it. You know, we always remember charity begins at home, and home is where we come from, and it is Africa, and it is our beautiful continent. That is all I will say. humbled. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Amen.
Councillor Kasibo, have a great evening.
Thank
Can't wait
you.
to connect again. Thank you so much. And to my fellow queens and co-hosts, it's always lovely. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank
Right,
Take
same to you.
you.
care.
Ciao, ciao.
God
Bye
bless.
bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
All right,
Bye bye bye.
bye.